Now we're going to move on to the next thing. We're going to know for the peering.
Okay.
Okay. In the previous class,
Mm.
we had discussed about the how to create a VPC, how to create a VPC,
VPC, yes.
and how to create a multi-tier architecture, and how to connect the public subnet and private subnet, public subnet and private subnet. In this class,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to create a VPC peering. Okay. What is VPC peering? VPC peering. It is making a connection between the two VPCs. Okay. When you create a
Mm-hmm.
VPC, both VPCs are in the private IP address. Okay. I want to
Okay.
communicate with two private IP addresses. Then we need a specific like internet gateway, NAT gateway, or VPN gateway like devices. Instead of that, this AWS will provide the connectivity between the two private networks. So I have two private networks are there, VPC1, VPC2. I want to make a communication between VPC1 user wants to access the VPC2. Then how will you make this connection with the help of the VPC peering? With the help of the VPC peering.
VPC pairing.
So VPC peering is a network connection between the two virtual private clouds, virtual private clouds, two virtual private clouds that allows resource in them to communicate privately using their private IP address. Both VPCs are private IP address.
Mm-hmm.
If they are in the same network without traversing the public internet. If without using internet, AWS will provide the connectivity between the two VPCs. Even though both are in the private networks, still the communication is possible with help of the AWS own network by using the peering. It is used to across the accounts like suppose I have one user is there, I have user is there in the VPC1 account. I want to access the resource in the VPC2. Then how will you do that? By enabling the peering. Understand? Here, VPC makes a communication between two VPC networks. Okay. Both VPC networks are the private. Both are in the private. How the private communication is possible between two VPCs with the help of the VPC peering will make a communication between two VPCs. Okay. Here, how it works. Direct connection using the existing AWS network backbone, using the AWS network backbone, not a gateway or VPN or high performance for security. To communication between two VPC, we'll use the peering. How the peering can done? We don't need any device. Instead of that, AWS will provide the backbone for connecting for both VPCs. The traffic flows over the private V4 addresses. You don't have internet connectivity. When you use the internet connectivity between those two, the traffic will flow from the public network. Whereas when you use the VPC peering, AWS will create a dedicated backbone services to connect between these two private networks. The entire connection is the private. Entire connection is the private. Another thing is that in both VPC, traffic flow from both direction. From VPC1 to traffic will flow. On VPC2, VPC1 also traffic flows. Okay. Here, setup involving creating a request from one VPC, accepting request from another VPC. What are the key benefits are enhanced security means we don't use any public network to connect between these two. Instead of that, AWS will provide a backbone to connect between these two network. It is completely private. The data traversing between one network to other network, it is completely private. You don't have a public. Improved performance, low latency, no bandwidth. Because of we are not connected to any internet, we are connected through AWS network. There is a very low latency will be there and no bad bandwidth bottlenecks will be there. Here, avoid complex VPN setups. If you want to connect between these two to provide encryption, okay, I want to send a data from VPC1 to VPC2. Then we need to set up a VPNs. Then it very complex to create a VPNs between two and to send the data securely. Instead of that, AWS will provide simple way. The data will be sent privately and encrypted with the help of the AWS backbone. Will make a connectivity between these two VPCs. Between these two VPCs. Understood? Okay. Here, most important transfer is there. If VPC A is peers with B, VPC A is peers with B, and A with C cannot talk directly with the A. See this. A having a pairs with B and A with C, and B and C cannot directly with the through A. Understand? We need to make a communication. When you make a communication between A to B and A to C, but you don't have connectivity between B to C, there is no transitivity. It is transitivity means when you make a connection between A to B, automatically the connection between B to A is there, but it won't happen. We need to make a connection between A to B and also A to C. Then again we need to make a connection between B to C. That is called transitivity. That is a transitivity. The IP address ranges of the peered VPC must not overlap. So if you take an IP address 10.0.0, then again should be the 20.0. They should not be overlap. So what the peering connection always between the two VPCs. Peering connection always two VPCs. Use cases are connecting VPCs in different account to share the resources. Suppose one VPC under the one VPC have one VPC there. From the VPC one user wants to access the resource in the second account, like second VPC. That is possible with help of the VPC peering. VPC peering. Another thing is that the VPC peering can be done between the different regions, different accounts also. Different regions and different accounts also. Okay. So now I'm going to create a VPC. Now I'm going to create a VPC. To create a VPC, how will you generally create a VPC? Do you know? Yesterday's class you observed? Hello? Okay.
Yes, yes.
How will you
Sorry,
create a
mic was
VPC?
muted.
How will you create a VPC?
We have
You
what
create
is called
instance first, right?
route table.
No, no. How we create a VPC and created products? Go to the VPC.
Okay, yeah.
First, we need to create a VPC. Then we need to create a subnet. Then we need to create a route table. Then we need to create a internet gateway. And the internet gateway and subnets are attached with the routing table. Yesterday's class.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to create a two VPCs. We're going to create a two VPC and make communication between these two VPCs. For that one, I'll just go to the your VPC. Instead of yesterday, I had created a VPC manual method. It is mandatory to know how to create a VPC manually. But now I'm just creating automatically by using a. I just tell to the AWS, you just create the VPC. Instead of creating manually, we're going to create another method to create a VPC. Click and create VPC. Here, well, the VPC only is there and VPC more is there. When you select VPC only, we need to create everything manually. When you select this VPC and more, the AWS will create VPC. You don't need to create VPC. You just need to give the names only. Don't remember the second
Mm-hmm.
method. Always remember the first method only. Yesterday and way before yesterday's class only. Okay. Here, I
Yeah.
just want to create two VPCs. One is the VPC one and second one is the VPC two. I'm just giving the VPC one. Okay, like just give it the name as Apple. Okay. Just giving the name as VPC name as Apple. And CA block is 10.0.0.16. Tenancy is default. Want to keep in the single availability zone. You can keep in multi availability zone also. I need a public subnet. I need a public subnet here. I don't need any private subnet. And I don't need any NAT gateway here. I want to customize here. I just give the subnet as a 10.0.24. You can check here what is the VPC name I had given Apple. What is the VPC name is Apple VPC. Under the Apple VPC we created a subnet. Okay, subnet. It was created a subnet. Under the subnet we have a route table. There is a route table. And this is the internet gateway. This is the internet gateway. Everything is created by the AWS itself. You just need to give the name only. Okay. Now I created a one VPC. Okay, one VPC. I just given the name and IP address range also. Okay, IP address range. Okay. So now I'll click on the create VPC. Now I can see the VPC created. This is the VPC. Under the VPC, these are subnets which I created. Subnet, just refresh it. This is subnet, and this is the route table. This is the route table, and this is the internet gateway. Again, I create another VPC. Go to the create VPC. Click on VPC and more. If you want to create manual method, then yesterday's class, like yesterday's class, takes so much of time. So for avoiding that, reducing the time, I'm just taking another method. I'm just telling the AWS itself, you just create a VPC. I'm giving the name as a Amazon. And saying the IP address range 10.0.16. I need only availability zone. I don't need in private subnet. I don't need an ad gateway. And I don't need these endpoints also. Here, you set the CIDR block here. Here, 20.0.4. Now you can check here. What is the VPC name? Amazon VPC. Under this one, we have a subnet, Amazon subnet. Route table is Amazon RTB public subnet. And I have a internet gateway. Now click on the create VPC. Now you can check here, two VPCs are there. One is the Apple VPC, another one is Amazon VPC. Now I'll create two instances, one in the Apple VPC, another in the Amazon VPC. Just go to the sheet. I'll make a communication between two. Okay. Click the launch instance. In this one, I'll just give the name as a Apple server. Selected Amazon Linux. T2 micro key pair, I think yesterday's key pair is VPC key. In the network setting, we need to change the VPC. I'm creating this Apple server in the Apple VPC. You can check here. What is the server name? Is the Apple server. Apple server in the which VPC? Apple VPC. Apple VPC. And I need to assign the public IP address enable. Now for this one, SS is okay. Add security group role. In this one, I want to check the communication for I want to ping for both. I'll use this all ICMP v4. Okay. Here, select anywhere. Now, click on the launch instance. Now I go into the another instance launch. Another instance. Name is the Amazon server. Select Amazon Linux. Select the key pair. Select the network settings here. This VPC is Amazon VPC. Auto assign IP address enable. And the security group, add security group. Just add the all ISMPv4. Source type is an email. Okay. These are the thing. Now I just created a Apple server in the Amazon server in the Amazon VPC. You can check here. So VPC name Amazon VPC and server name is Amazon server. Now click on the launch instance. Then go to the instances and first connect the Apple server. Correct here. Copy. Go to the git bash. Right click here. Click on show more option. Click on open git bash. Paste. And yes. Connected to this login to the root. Know the IP address. How to know the IP address? ifconfig. Here is the IP address is 10.0.0.162. Now we're going to connect another instance also. We're going to connect to the another instance also. Here right click. Correct. Copy this command. Go to the download folder where the key pair is located. Select and show more option. Click on open git bash. Paste the command as it is. Then enter. Then click on yes. Then log into the root. Check the IP address of the system. Check the IP address of the system. Now you can check the IP address is 10.20.0.184. Both networks are the private network and having a private IP address of that. Then I'll check the connectivity between these two. Okay, because of here I'll check the connectivity. How will you check the connectivity? Ping 10.0.0.0. The machine IP address is 162. Is the 162. Here check here. Okay. Then enter. Sorry. You don't get any connectivity, you don't get any reply. Why? Because there is no connectivity between these two networks. We don't have any connectivity between these two networks. You don't get any reply. Now we're going to create a VPC peering between these two. Okay. Again go to the console. Again go to the VPC. Then after that you have a peering connection is there under the VPC. Click on the peering connection. Click on create peering connection. I'm just giving the name as a Apple to Amazon. then one will become the requester, one will become the acceptor. Here in my case, I'll just selecting as a requester as a Apple. Okay. Then I want to make a connection between this. Here there are multiple options are there. Whether the VPCs are in the same account or other account. I can make a communication between two accounts also. One VPC is there in one account, another VPC is there second account. That can also possible. And because of my VPCs are there in the same account, okay, I just kept as a my account. And if you have a VPC in different regions, one VPC is there in the uh, Mumbai region, another VPC is there US East one, that is the North Virginia region. That can also possible. So I just kept my both regions in the same, both VPC in the same region, same account. I don't want to change here. I don't want to change here. In previous case, I selected as requester as a Apple VPC. Now here acceptor as a Amazon VPC. Amazon VPC. Okay. Then click on the create peering connection. Once it is created, then it asks for the acceptor. Then go to the acceptor. Then click on the accept request. Then click on the accept request. Then after creating the peering connection, we need to update the routing tables of both. We need to give the routing table updated is with the VPC, Apple VPC is updated with the Apple VPC route table is updated with the Amazon route table. And Amazon route table is Amazon route table is add with the Apple route table. Both should be exchanged. Here I just go to the Apple route table. Right click here. Edit routes. Click on edit routes. Add a route. What is the IP address range of the IP address range? '20 of the Amazon. Okay. And we need to select here peering connection. You need to select the peering connection. What is the peering connection name? This is the peering connection name, Apple Amazon peer. Click on the save changes. Again go to the route table. Again go to the route table. This time we need to update the Amazon route table. Both routing table to be exchanged. Okay, to make communication. Again go to the edit routes here. This 20 network, I need to add a 10 network. Class 16. And we have a peering connection there. Okay, what is the peering connection name? This one. Click on the save changes. Now you can check here the communication is possible. Now I'm getting the reply.
Yes.
Yes.
Both are private IP addresses, but they are communicating with help of the AWS backbone VPC peering. Understood?
Yeah.
So that is mean what? VPC peering. VPC peering.
Peering.
Okay. For deleting VPC peering, first we need to delete the VPC peering. Before going to delete that, first we need to delete the instances. Then only it is possible to delete all this thing. Whenever you delete something, first we need to delete the instances. Then only it's possible to delete the everything. VPCs and peering everything. You understand this one?
Yeah.
You practice with the manual method. Just create a
Mm-hmm.
VPC, create a subnet, create a route table, create an internet gateway, attach manually. Everything do practice manually. Don't follow this method. Okay? Let me wait here sometime. Because of once it is not terminated, it won't allow to delete VPC peering under VPC. Wait. EC2 instance both are terminated. Now we're going to delete a VPC and the peerings. First, we need to delete the peering connection. For this one, go to the peering. For making peering connection, there is no charge is there. Both instances are like both instances. When you create a VPC peering, there is no charge is there. That is completely free. But when you transfer the data from one network to other network, that the charges will be applied. You understand? Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
For making a peering connection, there is no extra charge in this. It is completely free. Okay. This is not chargeable. Okay.
Okay.
But thing is there, when you transfer the data from one network to other network, charges will apply. Now go to the VPC here. Select the VPC. Go to the actions. Read VPC. Both is deleted. Now we're going to move on to the next topic is the VPC endpoint. After that, this is also big lab like peering. In the peering, we created the VPCs using the automation method. But if you take manual method again, it 15 minutes or 20 minutes will take more. So now I'm going to take the another module, another thing. We're going to move on to the next thing is the VPC endpoint. VPC endpoint. Understood? What is the next thing is there? VPC endpoint. What does mean
Mm-hmm.
endpoint? Suppose if you sit there, I have VPC here. Inside this VPC, I have two subnets. This is a public subnet. This is a private subnet.
Mm-hmm.
This is a public one. This is a private one. This is a private one.
Yes.
Then what happens here? If the private inside the private instance, inside the private instance, inside the private network, there is a one EC2 instance is there, or any resource is there. This wants to access a resource like S3. This EC2 wants to access a S3.
Yes. Thank
Then to access any resource huh, from the private anything, we need internet. With the help of internet only we can access. How you access the S3 from a local laptop? Previous class I had explained you in like in previous classes I had explained you S3 CLI. When the S3 CLI, how the S3 can access from your laptop by saying it is mandatory to have internet. Without internet, can you connect from your laptop and we can access the S3 bucket? No possibility. Because of there is internet is there. From your laptop, I'm accessing S3 by adding this security key and access key. Then we'll accessing the what? We'll accessing the we're accessing the S3 bucket. What are the S3 buckets and object? It is mandatory
Mm-hmm.
to have internet. Even though it is a
Yeah.
private network, it is mandatory to have internet. Without internet, how we can access any resource from outside? How it access can outside? Then whether I can need to connect this private network with internet gateway or NAT gateway or VPN gateway. By using this NAT gateway, internet gateway and NAT gateway, we can access any resource from outside. That is outbound connection. But when you take the VPC endpoint, you don't need internet gateway, you don't need NAT gateway or any other gateways, any routing device. AWS have a private link. AWS is a private link. AWS having a private link. By using AWS private link, we can connect any resource inside the private to the resource like S3. That is known as the endpoint. That is known as the endpoint.
mm,
Okay. So what is my endpoint? Create the private secured connection from a virtual private cloud to support AWS services or VPC endpoint without using internet. I just told you that we don't need any internet like NAT gateway. Don't need any NAT gateway or internet gateway or VPN gateway. Without using public internet or internet gateway or NAT gateway VPN device, the AWS will make a direct connection to the private network to the resource. It uses either the interface endpoint or the gateway endpoint or the elastic network interface IP to access the resources. This enhances the security, reduce the latency, and eliminates the public IP address. Without any public IP address, from the private network, I can access the any resource outside. I want to access a resource which is there in outside. To access any resource which is there in outside, it is mandatory to have internet. You don't have internet, then how you can access? But AWS will provide the private link. Either use the interface endpoint or gateway endpoint. By using interface endpoint or gateway endpoint, it will provide a private link between the private network to the outside resource. Without using internet, we can connect by using the AWS private link. That is known as the VPC endpoint. What happens here? There is no internet connectivity is there. Then it when you don't have internet connectivity, it will provide the more security. More security. Understand?
mm.
Okay. How will you connect? What does my VPC endpoint come role? Hello, are you there? Okay. Here there are two types of endpoints are there. Interface endpoint and gateway endpoint. Okay, interface endpoints are powered by the AWS private link and creates a elastic network interface with the private IP subnet, support TCP traffic and high bandwidth, connect many services like AWS CloudWatch, Lambda and third party many services like it will support up to 100 services. Whereas gateway endpoint acts as a gateway and VPC route table, connects privately. It connect only few services, only Amazon S3 and Amazon DynamoDB. No cost for usage and only data transfer resource charges will be there. Okay. So what happens when you create an endpoint? It will provide the security, high provide security because we are not connected to internet. It will provide the high security and the very low latency because we are using the AWS private link. It provides the low latency. You don't need any NAT gateway, you don't need any internet gateway, you don't need any VPN gateway. Instead of all that, AWS will provide the private link. For using the AWS private link, we securely connect from private network to the outside resource. Outside
Mhm.
resource. Okay. Now I will going to do the lab here. Okay. For doing the lab here, first I need to create a VPC. Here I just go to the VPC. Okay, I need to create two networks. One is the public network and second one is the private network. Here we need to create a public network and a private network.
Okay.
Okay, just give the name as endpoint. This is CADR range. Select the availability zones as one. I need one public subnet and one private subnet. I need to customize the both subnet here. I'll make it as 24. You can keep 20 also, no problem. Not a big issue. Okay. One subnet is 10.0.0/24, another subnet is 10.0.1.24. Here there is
Mhm.
one option is there. You can create directly endpoint. I don't want to create directly endpoint. I want to create a manually endpoint. Just select as none and NAT gateway also none. Okay. Now you can check here.
Okay.
This is the endpoint VPC. In this endpoint VPC, there have two subnets are there. One is the public subnet and second one is the private subnet. And both having two road tables, whereas public subnet having a internet gateway, this private subnet doesn't have internet gateway. That's it. You check here. Okay, you check the architecture here. Okay, Now created a network with the two subnets. One is the public subnet and the second is the private subnet. Okay, now we're going to create a VPC. Now you can check here the VPC. This is a VPC. This is endpoint VPC. So this is the endpoint VPC. And have a subnets are there. Two subnets are there. This is a public subnet and this is a private subnet. Now I create a role here. See this? I create a role that Amazon EC2 can access the S3. First, I need to create a role because EC2 want to access the S3. For this one, I create a role. Okay, how will you create a role? How will you create a role? How will you create a role, brother? Go to the YAM.
I am here.
Click on the role here.
Roles. Yeah.
Click on the create role. Select the AWS service. In this case, EC2 wants to access the S3. EC2 wants to access the S3. Here, EC2 wants to access the which one? S3.
S3.
I select S3 full access. Then click on next here. The role name I'm just giving EC2 access S3 for endpoint. Okay, the role name is EC2
EC to
access S3
access
for
the
endpoint. You can give any name, no problem. That is not mandatory.
yeah.
Okay, just created a role. Now going to EC2, created two EC2s. First EC2 create in the public subnet and second EC2 is create in the private subnet.
Mhm.
Go to the launch instance here. Public server, Visual Linux, key pair, I will take the old key pair. Select the VPC, subnet, auto assign IP address enable, and no need, but anyhow I'll just add the all traffic, no problem. Now deployed a one EC2 in the public subnet. In which subnet you can check here. There are two subnets are there, one is the public subnet and the private subnet. Now just click on the launch instance. Now go to the instance here. Give the name as private server. Then select Amazon Linux. Select the key pair. Select the network setting. Select the VPC. And and select the subnet private. Select private. And auto assign IP address. I don't have any public IP address because it is a private network. We don't associate any public IP address. We don't associate any public IP address. I just keep this EC2 instance in the private subnet. Okay, done. In the add security group role, you just add the all traffic. It's not mandatory. I just selected here. Okay. Then anyway, now just created a one instance in the public, another instance in the private.
Yeah.
Then go to the instances here. Because I created a role, the role need to be attached. The private server need to access the S3. Okay. Then when the role should be attached with the private server. Role should be attached with the private server. How will you attach the role? Go to the private server. Right click here. Go to the
Mm-hmm.
security tab. Modify AM role. Modify
Yeah.
AM role.
And
And click on the role here. Here. What is the role? What is the role we added? Easy to access for?
to access for India.
Just added a role. Now I'm going to connect both instances. One is the public, second one is the private. First I will connect the public. It is not possible to connect the private because we don't have any private IP address. So then we need to
Right.
generate a key, then help of the key we will make connection here. Go to the connect here.
Just the public, right?
Yes. This is a, this is a private brother. This is a private one artist. Here just click on the connect here. And go to the table. Right click here. Open git bash. Shit. No. Connected to public server. Connected to public server. Then log into the root. Now type the IP address if config to connect to the private network. Then how will you connect to private network? We need a key. For creating key,
Mm-hmm.
what is the key pair? We have taken VPC key.pm. VPC key.pm. Okay, then go to the this one. Go to the download folder.
Mm-hmm.
Open the key pair. Just press Ctrl A. Copy here. Again go to the paste here. Here paste. Now go to the press escape. Shift WQ to save and exit.
Mm-hmm.
Then we need to give the permission. Okay, chmod 700. What is the key pair name? VPC key.pm. If you follow the yesterday's class, you can understand. If you don't follow, then we don't understand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now here, I just given the key. Then how will you connect to the private instance? How will you go to the private instance? Go to the private instance. Go to the private server,
Okay.
right click, connect, copy this command and paste here. Enter. Now click on yes. Now I connected to the private server. You checked here. What is the IP address? 10.0.1. And I'm in the private. Then I just go to
Yeah.
the AWS S3 LS. Okay. It won't get
Mm-hmm.
anything because we are not connected to endpoint. Now we want to create a endpoint. We need to create a endpoint.
Endpoint.
Understood?
Yeah.
So it won't get any output because we are not connected to endpoint. Now we're going to create an endpoint. Again, go to the
Okay.
VPC. Go to the endpoint. Here, under the private link, we have a endpoint is there. Under the private link and lattice, we have endpoint. Click on the endpoint. Click on the create endpoint. Give the name here, the endpoint name. Just giving the endpoint EC2 access S3. Now select the AWS services here. If you want to enable cross region endpoint also, you can enable. Here there are multiple endpoints are there. In this one, select the service name as a two types are there. One is the service name is the gateway endpoint, and another thing is the can here type of the endpoint. Type of the endpoint. I want to connect this type of the endpoint as a gateway endpoint. Gateway endpoint. I want to access which one? S3. Now these two types of endpoints are there. One is the gateway endpoint, another one is the interface endpoint. Interface
Mm-hmm.
endpoint can connect up to 100 services, whereas gateway endpoint can connect only 3 services. One is the S3, second one is the DynamoDB, and third one is S3 Express. In this case, in this my case, I want to access the S3. Then I selected a gateway endpoint. I selected a service. This one, which service? S3. See this. This is the type of endpoint is gateway. Now select the VPC. Which VPC? Endpoint VPC. And select the routing tables. So I'll just select both. Okay. In this case, I need to select a private only, but I selected both here. I just selected full access. Now create a endpoint. Now, so why it is not showing? Because I don't have any gate buckets. Why it is not showing?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have a
No
bucket.
buckets.
I'll just go to the bucket. I create a bucket here. That's it, brother. There are a lot of steps are there. Just go to the watch the video 2 to 3 times. Then only it's possible to create. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here I just you can check here the bucket. Say we don't have any bucket. Why it is not showing the bucket here? We don't have any bucket.
There's some bucket.
We'll just create a bucket here. Yesterday all buckets are deleted. Bucket. You can check here. There is no bucket is there.
Mm-hmm.
Now again to create a bucket. I just give the bucket name as a S3 endpoint Javed. Now I'll just keep it as everything. Just create a bucket. It is creating. Now bucket is create. What is the bucket name? S3 endpoint Javed. Huh?
S3 endpoint. Yeah.
Now again go here. S3 LS. Now I can check here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens here? I am in the private network. I am in the private network. So
Yeah.
EC2 is in private network. EC2 wants to access a resource which is there in outside. When inside private network, one resource EC2 wants to access a resource which is there in outside. It is mandatory to have internet. Internet can be provided
Mm-hmm.
either you can use internet gateway or NAT gateway or VPN gateway. Without using
Okay.
this one, AWS will provide a private link. With the help of the private link, securely connect one resource to another resource. That is known as the endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Understood?
Endpoint. Yes.
Okay. I'll just give this video. I'll just go to the two, three times both videos and just do the practice. Okay. Okay. Yesterday's also
Okay.
video is very important because of if 99% of interviews they'll ask multi-tier architecture. In yesterday's class, I'd explain a multi-tier architecture. Okay, how to create a front
Okay.
end, back end. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
I'll watch it.
Okay, okay. Tomorrow I'll
Thank
see you.
you.
Eh?